Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have Sal Celly with us today. He's co-founder at MaximizeU, which is an AI coaching platform. I describe it. He's into podcasting, coaching, speaking, authorship. He's a strategic advisor, an angel investor, and a mentor at a bunch of companies, including REM, Tree-Linked, RMS, Ativa, et cetera, et cetera. This one's going to be fun today. We're going to talk about sales, growth, and startups. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. If you want to start, scale, and be invited to other podcasts, you can go to podfire.com. We help you monetize through YouTube AdSense, through sponsors, and through leads that you generate through the podcast. You can go on our website and download our free audiobook and hopefully follow our masterclass if you want to skyrocket your podcast for 2025. Sal, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Charles. So, very excited to be here. I've always been passionate about leveraging technology to impact human lives and human progress. So, over the last 30 years, I've done that for many different companies, including Oracle, Dell, Informatica, and that's what I'm currently involved with as well.
Right. And your background seems like you're into corporate. You also have some interest for startups. And what's the difference between both worlds, corporate and startup world?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, there's a lot of innovation happening with startups. And because of my long career leading teams and building businesses from the ground up, I kind of got pulled into that as a coach, as an advisor. And I'm very passionate about helping individuals build companies and commercialize new technology. So I'm very involved in that along with the corporate world, which is more stable and more, uh, it's more long term, whereas the startups are more dynamic. So I kind of enjoy both aspects of the spectrum.
And how would you describe you business wise? Are you mostly a salesperson? Are you technical? What value do you add in a startup venture?
Yeah. So I basically am. I've always been on the business side, right? So how do you scale up and commercialize an idea into an actual business and grow it and eventually maybe sell it to private equity or get acquired? I am also technical, so I kind of bridge both gaps, but my key focus is on the business side.
So, what's your core skill in the business side of things? Do you leverage AI like I do for outreach? Are you into podcast lead gen? What's your number one skill as a salesperson?
Yeah, so it's essentially depends on what stage you're at, right? If you're at a idea stage, how do you take that idea and actually build it into a business, launch the product, sell it to customers, get your minimum viable product out there, and then start building on it, right? Hiring the team, building the team, creating the right organization structure, etc., etc. If you're already an established business, then my expertise comes in how can you increase and magnify and multiply your revenue. So that's how do you get new clients? How do you cross sell and upsell into existing clients? And most importantly, how do you maximize the lifetime value of your current customer base?
Right. And what niche are you most comfortable with? Is it a bunch of niche together? Is it mostly tech? Tell us about the niches you're great in.
Yeah, I tend to focus best on technology enabled businesses, right? So whether it's a SaaS offering, whether it's a on-prem offering, but there should be a technical component to it. That's typically where I do best, right? If it's a pure play brick and mortar business, that's really not my focus area.
Right. And you, from what I understand, you work full time at some companies, then you invest and mentor others part time. Like, how do you divide your time between all of your activities?
Yeah, great question. So we all have 24 hours a day, right? So I get up at 4:30 in the morning every day, and I'm very disciplined in terms of how I allocate my time. Typically, I do a lot of work with international companies, so that's early in the morning, uh, from like 5 a.m. to about 8, 8:30, and then I do my regular job, and then later on in the evening. So that's kind of how I do it, and I enjoy what I do. I don't consider it work. So weekends also, I am on the calls, etc.
And you've been investing slash mentoring slash taking equity in startups since more than 30 years. Have some of your investment panned out? Did you have some important exits? Do you feel that was a good
Yes.
ROI activity for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have had multiple exits, very profitable, sold the companies. Some of them are still running. So, yes, very, very positive ROI. And more importantly than the ROI is where we can really impact different people, right? And their teams and their employees and what they do for their customers. So, that's very fulfilling too.
And why not go 100% in the startup world and 100% starting your company instead of getting a salary at these corporations?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. And the thought has definitely crossed my mind, right? Um, so at the appropriate time, I will do that. But for now, it works well in this kind of a model for me.
Do you feel that corporations will scale via more agile and AI ready startups?
Well, some of them are recognizing that if they don't transform and they don't adopt AI, they are going to get left behind. So they are definitely, incorporating that in their use cases. But it's still early days.
Right, because corporations have a couple of modes, right? Like they are pretty big, they have big coffins, lots of cash to spend. They also have a talent mode, so they just pay 500K to a million to get like the number one players in their field to come work for them, right? But I feel
Exactly.
startups are moving also super fast. They're building, they're focused on providing the best product ever. Plus, they are most of them are quite bootstrapped and they take care of their expenses, right?
Yeah.
Let's say in 10 years, right, when AI is really established and so forth, and AI outperforms most humans, what do you think will happen to the workforce? Do you feel that most will become entrepreneurs? Do you feel that laws will need to be adopted, that your company needs to hire 10 humans minimum instead of AIs? Any predictions on that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And if you look at technology and the way it's impacted people, you got to stay ahead of the technology. In my opinions, if you don't, some jobs will be eliminated. Jobs that are mundane and routine and repetitive that can easily be done by technology, for example, in the call center or customer service or web chatting, all that is going to get eliminated. So that's why it becomes critical to upskill your talent and continue to get better at certain things that cannot be automated with technology, right? So it's a the way I look at it is there's a lot of people that are scared that they're going to become redundant. If you invest in yourself and you continue to grow and evolve and develop, you're not going to become redundant. You'll become even more valuable.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, your investment criterias, what are you looking for in a founder, in a company, and a potential product market fit before you invest?
Yeah, excellent question. First and foremost, I focus on what is the business problem they're trying to solve, right? The larger the problem, the more profitable the opportunity is. So that's number one. Number two, the actual person, the entrepreneur, what is their team? Do they have the experience? What's their background? Have they done this before? And then last but not the least, have they put in their own capital, and are they committed to it? Because as you know, 90% of startups fail, right? So do they have the ability to continue to persist and stay irrespective of the ups and downs that come in the business? So those are the three things I look at.
Yeah, the 90% statistic is interesting, right? Because what's the definition of failure? Did you fail if you learn from it? Did you fail if you're still in the game, but you're not making any money and you're just like being stubborn and staying there and not making anyone any
Yeah,
favor, right? It's
yeah,
always interesting, but generally speaking, startups are incredibly hard, right? You really need to be a a stud to go full time into this, but it's the number one learning mechanism ever. You will learn
I
incredibly.
agree.
I'm
I
also curious
agree.
on the mentor side of things. What makes a good student for you? What makes a good alumni? Someone that will take some of the advice and put it into action for you.
Yeah. So first and foremost, they got to be willing to listen, right? And they should be coachable because some people think they're the smartest person in the room. In my opinion, if you think that, you're in the wrong room, right? You got to change the room.
True.
So that's number one. Are they coachable, and do they need the help? Because everybody's time is valuable. If somebody's taking the time out to give you some advice and they've done this multiple times before, then you should be willing to listen, and more importantly, act on the advice, right? Because if you don't act upon it, words are cheap, right? Action speaks louder than words. So those two things are key: willing to listen, be coachable, and take action on it.
When does someone with a lot of experience advice becomes outdated? Let's say that the market moves super fast, right? And someone that has a lot of experience but hasn't really seen the AI stuff happening, doesn't understand that technology. When should a founder listen to the timeless wisdom of someone, and when does that advice potentially becomes outdated?
Absolutely. So, are they using it right now in their own business? Have they leveraged AI and the new technology currently in their own business and in their own ventures? Are they leveraging it to scale and grow and create customer satisfaction and raving fans? Are they doing that to reduce cost? Are they doing that to increase operational efficiencies? If they're doing that and they're actually executing on it, that's proof that they know what they're talking about, right? So uh, i- if I'm a startup entrepreneur and I want to learn from somebody, the first thing I will see is, are they actually implementing it themselves, or are they just talking about it?
Right. And okay, with everything that's ahead of us, ahead of you, and what you've seen in the past 30 years, I mean, you've been through the internet boom and bust and so forth. What's your take on this market? What's hot? What's not? Where is the money for people, and how should founders modify their behaviors according to this new environment that we're getting in?
Yeah. So everybody knows AI is hot, right? It's being utilized in many, many different ways, many industries, whether it's healthcare, whether it's retail, whether it's financial services, manufacturing, travel, leisure, all of those. So if you're not utilizing it in your core business, you're going to miss out. So that's number one. Number two, a very interesting space is the personal health and wellness space. That is constantly increasing because with all this technology and the pressure to be on 24/7, your mental health takes a toll. How do you handle the stress, the pressure, the anxiety, the depression, the feeling of always trying to catch up? So in my opinion, that space is only going to continue to increase. So that's a very interesting spot for me, and I've made a number of investments in that area.
And what do you do when it gets stressful? What habits have you installed in your life to make sure that the system keeps on running without force quitting and failing?
Yeah, so the foundation is faith and spirituality. That's the foundation, because if you don't have that, nothing else happens, right? So that's one. Number two, you don't start doing exercise, you don't start listening and relaxing when the problem arises. You do it long before it happens so that it doesn't happen, right? So, what I like to do is take the time out to stop and pause and go smell the roses, right? Do what gives you happiness. I like to work out, I like to run, I like to swim. I like to spend time with my kids. I like to ride my motorcycle. So, very important. Do the things that give you happiness before you need them.
Love it. And yeah, for those that don't have a motorcycle, it's a huge hack for happiness and negative energy release. Yeah. The more noisy, the better, because it's like releasing your frustration. Vroom, vroom.
Yeah,
Sal, thank
and
you
I, I
for.
Yeah, I have a big bike, so when I started, people move out of the way, and it's kind of fun to
Yeah.
see.
Plus, like cars see, right? Because the greatest danger out there is getting hit by a car when you're on motorcycle. So the more noise, the safer. But it annoys some people. So yeah, got to be careful. It's
Yeah.
situational gas stepping. Sal, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and Twitter, Instagram. And they can send me an email at coach@maximizeu.life, or visit our website at maximizeu.life. So I'd love to talk to folks and help them out, and I find that very fulfilling.